Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of TechPixies and the host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And I wanted to record one final podcast for 2022. Now, I'm a huge fan of daily reflection, but I'm also a huge fan of annual reflection, going back through the year and looking at what you've accomplished, not just as an individual, but as an organization. And every year around this time of year, I reflect on the progress that TechPixies has made. And if I think back to the very first year that TechPixies even existed, we had one goal, and that was to help 12 women return to work after having a career break. And that was in November of 2015. And here we are, December of 2022. And I'm going through that same reflection process and looking at where we are, where we want to be, and how we've progressed in the last year. Now, I'm not going to lie, 2022 was a tricky year for TechPixies. And if you listen to the podcast early on in the year, I talk about the messy middle and how we really were going through the messy middle. And I talk about how when you have a goal or a dream or a vision for your life, there's a part of you that as you go from where you are to where you want to be, you're going to be in a bit of a mess. It's the messy middle. And that happened to TechPixies. And I have talked a lot about it on the podcast, so I won't go into it too much. But what I want to say is that the trials and tribulations that we faced as a company have made us stronger than ever. And we have been able to take what felt like a major failure and turn it into a stepping stone and build on that. And I want to talk about that in this reflection, some of the amazing things that came out of a really challenging period of time. So those of you who know TechPixies, you probably found us through our Facebook ads. You probably joined our boot camp at some point. And if you haven't, you'll want to head over to techpixies.com and sign up for our January boot camp. We've got a January boot camp coming up. We've also got a Money Mindset Masterclass coming up in January, which raises money for our scholarship fund, which I'll talk about. And we also have our Vision Workshop, which for the very first time, we're going to run live in person in Oxford, but also online for people who can't make it to Oxford. And that's all happening in January. So if you haven't yet joined the TechPixie world, go check out techpixies.com. We'll be updating that with all the upcoming events. But I want to say that when we were going through the messy middle, so October of 2021, our entire business model and plan was Facebook ads. So we did Facebook ads to generate our bootcamp attendees, and then the bootcamp would then go on to sell our bigger programs. And a couple things happened between October 2021 and October of 2022. You might have noticed that there was a war on. There was also the energy crisis, the gas crisis. There's the cost of living crisis. There were a million things that happened. But another thing that happened was the iOS changes. So the Facebook ads that were working suddenly stopped working. And that made a huge problem for us in terms of how we could reach potential students. On top of that, you throw in the war, Brexit, the backlash of COVID, and the energy crisis and the cost of living crisis. And you also have a lot of people very nervous about spending money, even if they know that investing in their education is going to advance their futures. So needless to say, we had a tough year. We're not the only one that had a tough year. Social enterprise across the UK really, really struggled. And some of the bigger known names in social enterprise disappeared this year. And it was very sad to see. And people in our space disappeared this year, and it was very sad to see. And every time I went on to LinkedIn for a period of time, I had to go off LinkedIn for a while. Everyone was posting about closing their doors right and left. And people that I knew who were running businesses were stopping their businesses and getting paid employment. So it's been a really interesting year. But I believe in what we do here at TechPixies. And I believe that your history it's just your history. It's not your story, right? We have a history. It's not our defining piece. We have a story. It's not our defining piece. I believe that you can think your way out of any problem. You can think into any solution. In fact, I would argue that you could think your way into a problem, or you can think your way out of a problem, and you get to choose what you want to do. And I had people very close to me more than once say to me, well, maybe we should throw in the towel. Maybe this is just too hard. And what I had to say to them is that I don't believe that's possible. I believe we can turn this around. I believe we can make it better. I can believe we can navigate our way through it. And there's a leadership law, which I've done a lot of work this year on leadership, because as I've had to lead the ship and steer the ship and change the ship, I've had to lean into the leadership skills that I didn't really know I had. And I had to learn how to lead, especially in a tricky time period. And one of the leadership laws, the hidden laws of leadership, is distorted reality. The ability to see a reality that is different from what you currently are facing and believe that it's possible. And to get other people on board with you to believe that it's possible to move forward, to build a better future, to make a different, make a difference in this world. Someone who was really good at this is Steve Jobs. He believed in distorted reality, and whenever he talked about the iPad, the iPhone, any of the products that Apple built, he was able to create this vision for what he wanted to do, and he was able to get people to work for him to develop products that didn't exist. Think about it this way. It's like he woke up one day and said, I want to have 1,000 CDs in my pocket, right? There's no way you could do that unless you thought differently. So a huge part of this hidden law of leadership, which is the law of distorted reality, is believing that what you are building is going to work, and it's going to change lives, and it's going to make a difference in this world. And that's what I have done this whole year. Even though we faced obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, I kept pushing. And trust me, it's not been easy. I've had teary conversations with my team where I've said, oh, I'm not sure we can do this, but then they've been the ones who've encouraged me that we can do it. So it's not always like I've been the person who's 100% convinced it's going to work out. I have had my weak moments too. But the great thing is when you've built a team around you that believes in what you're doing, when you have your weak moments, they remind you of what's possible. So I wanted to just preface that by one of the numbers I'm about to give you, by sharing the progress, the struggles that we had this year, so that the progress really feels that much more amazing. Because I look at this last year and I believe that we have done something extraordinary. And I teach at TechPixies all the time. I teach women, you got to write your success list. You've got to look at the accomplishments that you've had. You've got to turn up the sense of deserving, the sense of believing in yourself. And one of the ways you do that is to look back and say, what have I accomplished this last year? And so this exercise I do every year, where I look back at the previous year and I pull together all of the wins and all of the amazing progress we've made, is for me, as much as it is for the team, as much as it is for the TechPixies, to realize that if we can celebrate the wins now, we're going to be able to celebrate them even more as they come up later. So there's a great book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. And it's not about being rich, like having loads of money in your pocket. Although if you want to do that, the book will apply to that as well. It's about the science of a rich life. And one of the things he says, there's a whole chapter on gratitude. And he says, the grateful heart expects great things, more or less. That's what he says. And it's this idea that if we're grateful for what we have, no matter the circumstances, then we are in alignment with receiving more, right? So it's the ability to impact more lives. If we're grateful for the lives we've impacted so far, we're going to impact more lives. And that's the way that I look at it at TechPixies. So here are some of the 2022 numbers. And I shared these internally at one of our last Mindset Mondays, as I asked everyone to reflect on the last year and the progress that they've made with their own personal lives and their own personal decisions to invest in themselves, to learn social media, to launch a business, to move forwards with their dreams. So we'll start with the big numbers first and work our ways down, or should we start from the smaller numbers and work our way up? I'm not sure. Maybe those of you who are watching live can say up or down. We'll start with the higher numbers and go down, or the lower numbers and go up. And I want you to know, I'm very careful about adjectives, right? I don't like to add things like, oh, this is small or this is big. We want to just appreciate every single thing that we've been able to do this year. I love this. Mandy's here watching, and she says, I wouldn't be where I am without you all. My first live was admitting I'm dyslexic, and it changed my life. Being dyslexic, I just think differently, and it's a gift. And Mandy has just landed her dream job, and she's able to work around her family. It's an incredible story. So I appreciate that. Okay, Paula, you win. Paula is one of our tech pixies. She goes, let's go low up. All right, we're going to start at the lowest number. It's not a small number. We're going to start at the lowest number and work our way up. So the first number at Tech Pixies that I'd like to reveal is that 40% of our social media students receive scholarships. So what does this mean? This means women who are on universal credit, who are BAME, LGBTQ+, or 60 plus. They are women in our community. And in other programs like ours online, there are no scholarships or bursaries or reductions that take into account your situation, but also that underpin the diversity of the community. Very important to me that we have women from all different backgrounds, all different ages, all different skills and abilities. And we have very successfully been able to do that. 40% of the students in our program are on scholarships. And many of those women who were on universal credit are now off of universal credit, which is amazing. We've got some incredible stories of students who've come off universal credit and have bought their own home, or have come off of universal credit and have had some major personal and professional wins. So that's very exciting to me. And I'm very grateful for the women who apply for the scholarships. It's not easy to put yourself forward for a scholarship. It's not easy to say, I need some support in investing in myself, but they do. The average scholarship amount that we give is about £911. So that's very, very valuable to those who do receive them. It's hugely valuable. All right, so the next number on our list is 62. We had 62 active DreamBuilders and Mastermind students. Now, this is a brand new program we introduced in 2022. We'd never done it before. About 90% of the people that joined it had already been in our other programs, and they wanted to continue learning with us. This was a personal project I wanted to run that was fully focused on life coaching and neuro coaching. And it takes the foundations of what we do in social media, but builds on it in terms of really leaning into the dream that you would love to create in your life, whether that's in your health and well-being, your love and relationships, whether that is in your time and money freedom or your vocation and creative expression. So we had 62 people doing that, which is really exciting. And the mastermind came out of that. We'd never had a mastermind before. And I'm now working one-on-one with 10 women in a small group environment to help them set the foundations for businesses that are going to turn over 50 to 100,000 a year. And they're making major progress. And we've had a wonderful retreat in Oban, and we've got another one coming up in Oxford in a few weeks. And they're bonding as a group, and they're really seeing some progress. So that was very exciting, the DreamBuilder program, and some incredible dreams coming off the back of that. Next number, 284. We had 284 active social media students in 2022. So this is across all of our programs. We have an alumni membership. We have a social media accelerator membership, which is our program, which is a 6-week program. We have a social media management certification program, which now is a 6-month program. So we've got lots of different ways that you can learn from TechPixies around social media. We have a self-study membership. So 284 women were actively involved in those this year, which is just amazing. Now, the next number is 460. We have now got over 460 5-star reviews across Google, Facebook, and Apple Podcasts. I mean, what? That's like, to me, that just blows my mind. Really? Like, the people took the time. 460 people or more, I think it's now more than that, have taken the time to go and write a review about their experience on the boot camp and the vision workshop, their experience of the podcast. I mean, thank you. I want a huge thank you to each one of you who wrote a review. And if you're listening now and that prompts you to go write a review, I would absolutely love that. I personally read them all. I reply to every single one on Google because it lets me do a reply. So if you do leave one, you'll hear from me personally as a thank you for writing the review. We have done over 500. my jaw almost dropped. I went into our, we have a system that records all of our calls, and we switched to a new system, and it pulls in calls from previous years. So we have over 3,000 hours of coaching calls, but in 2022 alone, we had over 500 group coaching call sessions, right? Between DreamBuilder and Social Media Accelerator and the boot camp and the Mastermind, 500 hours of group coaching sessions. I mean, that's been incredible. And I've been on a lot of those calls, not all of them, but I've been on a lot of those calls, and our coaches have managed those calls and have done a brilliant job with them. These are all like 2022 numbers, right? I mean, the reviews are cumulative, but the group coaching calls, that's just this year, as are the active students that I've just given you the numbers for. Okay, 782 Vision Workshop attendees. So 782 people signed up for our Vision Workshop, watched the replay, participated, joined in. That's just incredible. 782 people spent time focusing on their dream, their vision for their life, which I just think is so important. And you need to do it, right? This is a big part of reflection is, where am I on my journey? I wanted to be here, and I'm here, and am I making progress towards that? Okay, the next number, 1,034. That's how many social media superhero boot campers we had in 2022, which is just incredible. And, I feel so blessed to be able to run those boot camps. We meet a lot of people on the boot camps, whether they join us for our follow-on programs or not. We have a fantastic week every time. Kirsty says she's here today, and she says the boot camp was amazing, which I love that. So, the boot camp is one of my favorite parts of the year, as is the Vision Workshop. And it's a great way to connect with people. And we always make sure that people have a great foundation to make a decision as to whether or not they want to use social media. Now, let me tell you one thing. Someone posted recently on social media saying, it's so hard to tell between the good free training and the bad free training. And TechPixies for sure is one of the good free trainings where you really walk away with a lot. Now, in 2023, we're going to try something new, and we're going to use our Social Media Superhero Bootcamp and our live Money Mindset Masterclass and our Vision Workshop to raise money for our scholarships. And I'll tell you about that next, because in 2022, we raised and had commitments from people in 2023 of £6,997. And this is what funds the scholarship. So up until now, we haven't had a way of funding the scholarships. We provided scholarships, but we didn't have a way of actually funding them. And we actually do have to fund them, because we do have to provide a really good service for our scholarship students, the same service we provide for our full fee-paying students. So we've done that for many, many years. We've given over £300,000 worth of scholarships away, but we needed to start raising money to fund them. So in 2022, we started that. We started it with our Partners in Believing Fund and with our trainings that we do. So in 2023, our free trainings will no longer be free, but 100% of the proceeds will go into our scholarship fund, which is really, really cool. So I'm excited about that. And we're going to give our students the opportunity to help us sell that and make some money back themselves by being affiliate partners. And I'm really excited about that, because we haven't been able to do that up until now. So now there's some shifts happening in 2023, but I'm really proud of what we've done to get there in the first place. All right, a couple more numbers here. 21,546. That's how many people are in our online community across all of our social media networks, which is just amazing. I mean, I want you to listen to this right now. When I say to you, we had 0 followers on day one, we had 0 followers on day one. So in 2015, when we started the social media channels for TechPixies, we had no followers, none. And now we have 21,546 in our online community. That is incredible to me. And that is something I'm really, really proud of. And we've done a lot of that organically. Some of that has come through paid advertising, but most of that has come through organic. And I'm really, really, really proud of that. All right, so next number, which is very close, it's sort of just a slight switch in the numbers. We had 21,584 pounds of scholarships provided to our Social Media Accelerator students. So 21,564 pounds were provided in terms of scholarship funding. So you can see that we still have a ways to go to be able to get our fundraising to fund our scholarships, but we went ahead and offered the scholarships anyway because we knew people needed to move forward in this environment. So if you're thinking about a way that you can give in 2023, we'd love for you to become a partner in believing. If you go to techpixies.com/partner in believing, you'll find out about how you can donate 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, or 100 pounds a month to become a partner in believing. And our partners in believing are people who want to see these scholarships funded. They want to make sure that students and women who want to change careers, return to work, start a business, that they can do that no matter what their socioeconomic or their ethnic background is, right? That's very important. So the link to that will be put into the show notes of this if you're interested in supporting the Partners in Believing Fund. And now the final number of 2022, which I am very excited about, is our podcast downloads. This just blew my mind. And sometimes there are moments when you think, gosh, maybe we should stop doing this. And then you look at a number and you go, nope, we got to keep going. And in 2022, we hit a cumulative podcast download of 78,940. So we will, by the end of the year, we still have 11 days left. So I want you to share your favorite podcast. Go on to techpixies.com/podcasts or go on to the weekly tips on our website. And I want you to go find your favorite podcast. I want you to share it with someone that you know and help us get over that 78,940 mark. Help us get to 79,000. My guess is if everyone shares this, we'll be touching 80,000 by the end of the year. That's a big deal. Again, it's like with the social media community. We had zero people in our social media community back in 2015. We had 0 podcast downloads in 2019. And that has just been something that has been built over the last few years. And we've made really great progress with it. And our podcast has incredible interviews from our students who've graduated from our program and gone on to do some incredible things, like Julia Heffer, who, the first 6 months of her business that she ran on her own, she made more money than she did in the previous year working for somebody else. We've got the story of Carrie Rian, who was on Universal Credit and launched a tutoring business online and now owns her own home, right? We've got incredible stories of our Tech Pixies, and we've got many, many, many interviews about people going after dream jobs and moving forwards with their life and putting a vision together. One of my favorite stories is Julie Garner, who had on one of our trainings, in our free trainings, she put together a vision for a house she would love to have in Cornwall, and she sent me a picture of it. That she'd gone and they'd gone into the house, and she said, this feels really weird. It feels like I've been here before. And she went home and she looked through our notebooks, and she had described this house almost exactly in a notebook when she did our vision workshop, or when she did our boot camp or our vision workshop. I can't remember which. And then they're now they owned it. Now they were moving into it. So we do some powerful work at Tech Pixies in all of our programs to help you really imagine, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And how am I going to get there? And we talk a lot about the fact that the how doesn't matter as much as taking action towards it and knowing and defining what it is that you want. The how comes later. As you take action steps towards what you would love, all those things start to come together. And I fully know this, because when I started Tech Pixies, I had no idea this is where we would be. Really, honestly, I could never have imagined any of these numbers that I'm telling you now. I had one goal, and it was to help 12 women go back to work after a career break. And then I had a second goal, which was to help 1,000 women upskill with social media, right? And we're still working towards that goal. We have over 820 women now in our paid social media programs. And in my head, that 1,000 was based on the paid social media training, right? So we're still working our way towards that goal. But I know my goal after that is 10,000. And we're now raising money to build an app that underlines all of the work we do. and helps with the subconscious reprogramming and the vision casting, and really helps to transform the brain and move forwards and understand the power of the brain as a transformational tool, the power of our thoughts as a transformational tool to move us forward, whether we're using social media or whether we're leaning into a dream or building a business. All of that is really, really important, that we understand how the brain works and how we can leverage the brain to move forwards. So 2023 is going to be very exciting for TechPixies. Very, very, very exciting. And I'm looking forward to this beautiful, incredible, amazing journey. And I'm looking forward to our awesome, amazing, talented team of coaches and graphic designers and copywriters and video editors and coaches and etc. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with them to build the next phase of TechPixies. And I am so proud. I am so proud of every woman who's invested in herself. And I am so proud of every person who's built any part of this company over the last 7-8 years. I am so grateful. I am so proud of you. And I'm so thankful to have you have been part of this journey. Over the years, we've employed over 40 people across contractors and employees. And this was not built by me. This is built by a team of incredible people who care passionately about changing the world, especially when it comes to closing the gender gap in technology, in financial independence, in so many different areas. So I want to say thank you to you for listening today to this podcast, for watching it if you're watching it on YouTube. And I am so grateful to you. And I'm thankful that I leaned in to a dream and a vision that I had that came to me. And was one of my mentors says, you come from your dreams, right? You come from your dreams. It's not about, going out and picking anything. It's the dreams are in you. Everyone has a dream in them. It's, are you going to take action on it? Are you going to move forward on it? Are you going to believe in it when nobody else does? Are you going to move forward when it feels impossible? And one of the key pieces of moving forward and staying confident and staying positive is reflection. So if this podcast helps you to do anything, I hope it helps you to start a practice of reflection where you reflect every day. What is something that I am grateful for? What is something that I am proud of? And over a year, if you add all those up, it's a pretty impressive year. And I want you to look at your life and I want you to say, look at what I've done. Look at what I've accomplished. Look at what I've been able to do, so that as you move forwards, you can build on that. A grateful heart expects great things. And I want you to expect a great thing for your life, because a great thing is coming. As long as you stay focused on it and take action steps forwards, that's where the magic is. And I'll leave you with one little thought. It came up a couple times in our DreamBuilder calls this week, and I think it's so important that I wanted to share it here, as I am very grateful for everything that as you can tell, that's happened in 2022. It might have been one of our most challenging years ever, but it was also one of the years full of abundance and blessings that I had no anticipation of, the way that it all fell into place and things have moved forwards. So I just want to acknowledge something that maybe people don't know much about, but comes up in our DreamBuilder program a lot. There's 3 levels of gratitude. There's 3 levels of gratitude. So if you think about it on a hierarchy of gratitude, there's the bottom level, which is I'll be grateful when. I'll be grateful when we have 1,000 students, or I'll be grateful when we raise the money, or I'll be grateful when I get that job, or I'll be grateful when, right? So it's a future gratitude. Like, I'm not grateful now, but I'll be grateful when that happens. And then there's another level of gratitude, and that's grateful for. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the food in my fridge. I'm grateful for the students in our program, for the coaches, for the person listening to this podcast. I'm grateful for, right? So that's something that's happened and you're acknowledging that it's happening. And then there's another level, and that's grateful in. Grateful in. And this is when you go, I am grateful in the challenges that I dealt with this year. I am grateful in the opportunities I have to overcome obstacles. I am grateful in the dyslexia that I have to deal with every day, so that I can come up with new and creative ways to reach people. using video, for example. I know Mandy, that's what she does, and she was listening to the podcast earlier. So grateful in. How can we live at the highest level of great gratitude? And that's when we are grateful in all circumstances for the blessings and the gifts that those circumstances give us. So if you've had a tough 2022, how can we look at what we're grateful in? How can we look at the same situation and see it in a light of gratitude and blessings and abundance? So that's my wish for you. And I hope you have a fantastic time reflecting on your 2022. And if you'd like to think about your 2023, go check out techpixies.com. Got lots of entry points, very affordable. All the money goes into our scholarship fund. You can join us for our vision workshop in Oxford, or you can join us for our social media superhero bootcamp, which is online, or you can join us for our money mindset masterclass, which will be another one that we run in January. Like I said, 100% of the proceeds from all three of those go towards our scholarship fund. So by investing in it, you're giving someone else the opportunity to learn and change their life, and you never know, you might be one of the ones that benefits from that as well. All right, thanks for listening. Have a great day, and have a happy time reflecting. Bye for now. See you next year.